These are all complaints that you hear about Etsy, and to be honest, a lot of them have some truth to them. But in this video, we're going to talk about how true these types of comments really are and if it's really worth selling on Etsy. One of the biggest complaints sellers have about Etsy is their fees. When you sell on Etsy, you have a listing fee, a transaction fee, and a payment processing fee. I have a full video that explains all of Etsy fees, but here's a quick breakdown. There's a listing fee of 20 cents for each product listing. There's a transaction fee of 6.5% for each transaction, and a payment processing fee of 3% plus 25 cents per transaction. These fees can seem quite extensive, but we have to remember that Etsy is a business. And just like your goal in your business is to make money, they have the same goals. Etsy is essentially charging you to use their name or their brand awareness. People know the Etsy brand, and that brings traffic to your shop. If you're just starting out, you're going to learn that traffic is gold. It's the main reason that you sell on a marketplace instead of opening up your own e-commerce website. You need eyes on your products, and Etsy gives you those eyes at a very low cost to entry, around 20 cents. Think of it this way. If you open your own e-commerce store on Shopify, you would need to bring traffic or get people to come to your store. You could pay for ads on Google or Facebook or Instagram, but that's expensive. You can go the free route of making sure you have good SEO or search engine optimization so you can be found in Google, but that takes a lot of time. You can start social media channels like Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, but again, this takes a lot of time and effort to post good content and grow your following. And while you're waiting, you're paying your typical $30 a month fee to keep your site hosted on Shopify. Every month you're waiting to bring in sales, you're losing money. When selling on Etsy, your initial fee to get an item listed is 20 cents, and your listings stay active for 4 months. There's no monthly fees for having your shop open, and you have time to figure out your Etsy SEO and to learn how to get people to see you on Etsy. Now, when you do make a sale, you have to pay a transaction fee, a payment processing fee, and then another listing fee, but you can build these fees into the price of your items and still make a profit. I've heard of products that are just not profitable to sell on Etsy because once you build the fees into the price of the item, you can't sell the item at a price that buyers will respond to. And those types of products are just not good to sell on Etsy. Once you have a well-established shop on Etsy, I do think there's a point where you should open your own e-commerce website. At this point, your social media presence is also well-established, and you can drive traffic to your own e-commerce website and eliminate some fees. But remember, you'll still pay monthly for the hosting of your website, and you'll still have to pay a payment processing fee to your payment provider. But this gives you 2 selling channels for your products, and if Etsy decides to shut down your shop for any reason, you can continue to make sales on your own website. In 2022, about 7.47 million sellers sold goods through the Etsy platform. Now that's a lot of sellers, but let's compare that to some other marketplaces. I've seen estimates of 9.7 million Amazon sellers globally, and eBay had 18 million active sellers on their platform in 2022. This just shows that there are a lot of sellers on all platforms, and if you have your own website, you are essentially competing with a much larger number of competitors. E-commerce in general is competitive. It's just something that you have to deal with. What you do is you'll implement strategies to make your product stand out against your competition. On Etsy, there are some niches that are more saturated than others. When you're just starting out, it's good to find a way to appeal to a less saturated niche. Using tools like Everbee can help you do this. Next, you'll work on having your listings show up in Etsy search when a buyer is looking for what you sell. You'll do this by optimizing your listings with the right keywords and your titles and your tags, and this is something that Everbee can help you with as well. You'll also have to make sure your listing photos stand out. When a potential buyer comes across your listing photo next to another seller's photo, what would make them click on yours? I do this by using professional markup photos and Canva. You can watch the video that I have linked above me in the card to learn how to create standout listing photos. You'll also need to drive traffic to your Etsy site, which helps you get more sales and help you rank higher in the Etsy algorithm so you are seen on page 1 of Etsy search results. And most importantly, you need to make sure you have a good product and good customer service so you get 5-star reviews. All of these things will make sure you're successful on Etsy, even if it is saturated. Etsy can shut down your shop at any time. This is absolutely true, and it is terrifying. You could put all of this time and effort into your shop and start making consistent sales on Etsy, and without notifying you, Etsy can suspend your shop. This is a scary thought, but it shouldn't stop you from selling on Etsy. Etsy clearly posts their rules in their seller policy. They tell you what you can and cannot sell on Etsy and other rules that you must follow when selling on their marketplace. What Etsy is not good at is communicating with you when you break a rule, which is sometimes easy to do without you knowing it. It would be so helpful if Etsy told you what rule you broke and if you could somehow reach Etsy support, but that's not normally the case. I talk about this more in my video about the ugly side of Etsy, and I'll leave that video linked in the description and in the card above me. Etsy shutting down your shop is a very valid fear or complaint, but you can mitigate this risk by making sure you're familiar with Etsy's rules. Also, staying connected to Etsy sellers in a community will also help. You can learn from others' mistakes. Even subscribing to a YouTube channel like mine can help you stay in the loop. I also recommend opening your own website when you start to make a lot of sales on Etsy. Like I mentioned earlier, this also means you have an established social media presence and you can start sending traffic to your own website instead of Etsy. This will give you more control over your business and you won't be dependent on Etsy. If they do shut you down, you won't go out of business. As your business grows on your own website, you might even decide that you want to stop paying Etsy fees so you can keep more profits. The complaints that you hear about Etsy do have some truth to them, but when deciding to sell on Etsy, you'll have to learn with both the pros and the cons of selling on Etsy. Use the Etsy marketplace as a way to kickstart your new handmade or print-on-demand business with branded traffic and done-for-you marketing. So is it worth selling on Etsy? Absolutely yes. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk more about how to run a successful Etsy shop in this video right here.